The whole goal of these problems is to isolate the variable. Our goal is to get the letter by itself to find out what the answer is, to find out what its value is. The number one, I ask, what is this negative 17 doing to the v? And since it's touching, it's going to be multiply. So the opposite of multiply is to divide. I'm going to divide both sides by negative 17. That gives me an answer of v equals 5. Number 2, the same thing. So I'm trying to get the m by itself. So I see that the 3 is adding to the m. I do the opposite, which is subtract 3. And I'm doing it to the opposite of the line. Remember, once what I do to one side, I have to do to the other. And that leaves me with negative 3 equals m. Same thing for number 3. But this time the 11 is dividing. Therefore the opposite is to multiply both sides by 11. This 11 cancels with this one to leave me x equals a negative 55. And lastly, number 4. That's a negative 3, so the opposite, in order to move it, I have to add 3 to both sides. Therefore I get n equals a negative 12. Okay, let's move on to the next 4. So numbers 5, 6, and 8 are two-step equations. Remember, the whole goal is to isolate the variable. Step 1 is to add or subtract the constant, which is this one here. So I'm going to add 6 to both sides to give me 98 equals 7x. And then last step will be to divide by the coefficient of x. What is the coefficient of our variable? And that leaves me with x equals 14. So I'm going to do those same steps for number 6. Start off by subtracting the 2 to get 3k. Remember, it's on the opposite side of each line. 3k equals 6 divided by 3. And that is k equals 2. Let's look at number 8 before I do 7. So once again, I'm going to draw the line down. I'm going to subtract the constant. Give me 6 equals m over 2. And then in this case, this 2 is considered my coefficient. So since it's dividing by 2, I'm going to multiply by 2. That gives me m equals 12. Now for number 7. For number 7, whenever we have a variable on the outside, we want to circle it and distribute it in. That means it goes into both. That gives you negative 6 plus 6n and still equals 24. It's just like any other problem. We're going to solve this problem. Add 6 first to give you 6n equals 30. You divide by 6 to give you n equals 5. Please remember to pause the video, rewind, do what's needed to make sure you can solve all these problems. Since number 9 is the same as 8, I won't be doing it, and since 10 is the same as 7, I won't be doing that one. So we keep moving on. 11 and 12 are very similar to 7 as well. I'll just show one more as an example. So here's 12. Take this, you distribute it in. That gives you 88 equals negative 8n plus 24. We add 8n to both sides. Sorry, scratch that. We subtract 24 to both sides to give you negative 8n equals 64. You divide by negative 8 to give you n equals a negative 8. (13) and 14 are very similar, so I'm going to do 13. In 13, we see that we have two variables and one constant. So our goal is to kind of combine. Since they're on the same side of this line, I can just combine them as they are. That's a negative 1 plus 7 makes 6v. And that's still negative 12. So now I divide to give me v equals a negative 2. So same thing for this one over here. You combine those two. Remember, combining means they're the same, so it's just negative 7 plus 5. Negative 7 plus 5 gives you negative 2 plus 14. You divide to give you x equals a negative 7. 15 is the same as the distributing ones. So let's look at 16. Let's look at 16. We're going to distribute first before we combine like terms. This gives me 106 equals 10 minus 10n minus 6n. I can combine this negative 10n and this negative 6n. And I have this one here and this one here. The 10 and the 106 cannot combine since they are on opposite sides of the line. So this stays 106 equals 10. This gives me negative 16n. Now I can subtract the 10 to give me 96 equals a negative 16n. You divide by negative 16 to give you n equals a negative 6. 17 and 18 we combine, so let's go with 17. I have constant here, variable and a variable. But they are opposite sides of the line, which means I can't just combine, I have to move stuff. I want oranges on one side, greens on the other. So I'm going to choose to move this green to the other side. I'm going to add 5 to both sides. That gives me 6x equals 8x, because these two cancel. You subtract, doesn't matter which one. To give you this gives you 0 equals 2x. You divide by 2 to give you x equals 0. Now for 18, I have a negative 2k, negative 7k, and a k. On this side I have 1 and a negative 15. Draw my line. As you can see, I have two oranges on the same side, which means I can combine them. This gives me negative 15, and that gives me a negative 6k. I still have a 1 minus 2k on the other side. We highlight once again. Now I want greens on one side, oranges on the other. I'm going to add 6k. That gives me 1 plus 4k equals negative 15. Subtract the 1. to give me 4k equals a negative 16, so I divide to give me k equals a negative 4. Alright, I got 2 questions left. Both of them have distributive property because they have the parentheses. I distribute first. I draw my line. Negative 17 plus 2m equals 20, minus 35m. If I show you the highlighting, I get this. Remember, green's on one side, orange is on the other. I'm going to add 35m. Give me negative 17 plus 37m equals 20. Add 17. 37m equals 37. You divide to give you m equals 1. And lastly, distribute once again. 3n minus 25 equals 8n minus 40. I will subtract 3n. Negative 25 equals 5n minus 40. Add 40. Give you 15 equals 5n. You divide by 5 to give you n equals 3. Use this video to help you complete the worksheet. There will be an answer key in the bottom of the worksheet to an answer choice box to make sure you have the right answers in there.